I'm Ramona Meraz-Lewis. I'm a doctoral student in the Department of Leadership and Counseling, and my emphasis is actually on higher education administration. And my interest, or my topic, is actually from my dissertation research, which I've recently finished. And I was interested in older adults, and more what people call sometimes learning in retirement. And I was interested in how learning in retirement took place in a particular context of university-linked retirement communities. If you haven't heard of those, there's a growing number of universities who have retirement communities associated with them. And these communities are often about people, or designed for people who have an interest in focusing on lifelong learning. And sometimes they say these are communities dedicated to both the social and the scholarly in retirement. And as I started doing research on these and finding out more about them, I realized that there wasn't that much research about them. And so that's where my topic took me to. And in developing my research questions and trying to understand more about them, we realized that a qualitative approach would be the best way to go about this. And so I took a qualitative ethnographic approach. And so what I did is I chose 3 communities across the United States to go visit, one in the Midwest, one in the Northeast, and one in the southern regions of the United States. I spent about 7 to 10 days at these sites. I conducted what people call ethnographic field work, and that means I did observations, I explored the communities there, the retirement communities there. I also explored the universities that they were affiliated with, the towns. I did participant shadowing. I ate meals with residents, went to events with residents. I spent time in these communities trying to learn as much as I could about the residents and what they were experiencing when they were there. And I also conducted interviews, life history interviews with residents. And I actually conducted 55 interviews with residents. Those interviews ranged anywhere from 90 minutes to 4 hours. They were sometimes very long, sometimes shorter. But those residents gave me insights into what people were feeling. I learned about their history, what maybe attracted them to be living in a community like this. And I also learned about their current experiences. And I also learned more about their meanings of what it meant to grow older, because these individuals usually range between the ages of 55 and 92. So I learned a lot about aging as well. And part of this experience was to get a sense, after I did all these interviews and observations, I did what is called a thematic analysis. I had to go through all my interview transcripts, look back at my field notes, spend a lot of time digging into the research and understanding what themes were emerging for these individuals. And a couple of the things that probably were were interesting to me was to find out that a number of individuals who live in these communities are retired, what we might call academics. People who were teachers, people who were university professors, people who were doctors, people who kind of came from these formal education backgrounds. So while that's a really positive thing for them, it also lends us to beg the question, so if people can benefit from learning in retirement, what about the people who don't necessarily have these kind of formal educational backgrounds? And that's kind of where my research is leading to me next, me exploring individuals who maybe don't come from what we might call more educated backgrounds, and what does learning look like for them in those contexts, and could they benefit from learning? And that's where I see my research going next.